Welcome back, everybody, to the Proving Ground Circuit Qualifier stream here on twitch.tv/academy. Once again, I'm Graves, being your host for this evening, alongside Veteran once again, and a new friend alongside us. Incon, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
Doing?
Fun series last series.
Yeah,
Hopefully you're ready to cast another one.
Were you expecting that to go 3 games? I know you talked about you had to like work out before you got on the desk. I mean, did that change your plans at all?
No. I actually think Veteran was right in predicting a 2-1. I think predicting any amateur series to go 2-0 requires a little bit of delusion. And I think because Large was coming in with, new talent and people that are willing to play different things, that they were able to catch 100 Thieves off guard. 100 Thieves is just going to be a better team, which is why they ended up winning in the end.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense, all things considered. But that matchup's already done and dusted. We got our new game on to try and cover here. It is, No Org versus Taco Gaming. Veteran, this is such an exciting series to watch. Of course, on the other stream, AO Esports took that 2-0 over Tempest Gaming. So this is the closest seeding matchup that we have. It's 7 versus 10. So expecting a lot of fireworks to be thrown.
Yeah, 100%, and I'm incredibly interested in seeing how Qualifier performs. I've always been a huge fan of this guy, and the biggest test for everyone on this bracket is going to be how they face and deal with that man in the mid lane.
It is so cool to see this No Org roster come back. Of course, Incon has some experience of playing against them as a coach last year in spring 2021, but they are a team that literally won Proving Grounds. Not just like all the Proving Grounds qualifiers and the amateur teams. They beat every single academy team to end up all the way at the top. And when you take a look at the rosters that we have here, a lot of the big pieces are still there. Of course, it's Viper, it is Qualifier, and it is Big. But the new pieces in Con that they have added to their team in Wixie and Griffin are sure to make their team just as strong as they were before.
Yeah, I mean, Griffin single-handedly bringing down the average age of the team by probably 5 years is a great addition, but I think it's really important when crafting a team, if you have a young player, having veteran talent that are comfortable in their roles and being able to sort of guide them and help them learn is super important. So having players like Big T, Fire, and Viper surround Griffin and then Wixie, who has some experience but not as much experience, is going to be great. And I think, we'll see great things coming out of No Org. But with that said, Taco Gaming also has experience, right? They have the Gorica, they have, City Witty and Rovex, who just played a massive tournament together. So I think we'll see exciting things and, good team play coming out of both of the teams, and both teams will have their shining moments.
Yeah, and even though both teams, even though Taco Gaming is more familiar, at least to 2022, they also made 2 roster changes coming into this next tournament, specifically in Lawrence and Shochi, and it creates a really interesting matchup, specifically in the mid lane veteran, because with Griffin, Griffin being here in the jungle instead of Anda, who was previously on this team, it really makes a lot more of this game focused around these 2 mid laners.
Yeah, for sure. I'm actually incredibly interested in how this particular matchup goes about and which kind of Qualifier we're going to see, because we've seen versions of Qualifier that can take over the entire map. We've seen versions of Qualifier that take over in team fights. I do think that with the addition of a young player like Griffin, Qualifier is going to have a lot more freedom to call the kind of game that he himself wants to play. So we're going to see the preferences coming out of Qualifier and no excuses from his end. I typically don't actually think that having a lot of veteran players surrounding a guy like Griffin is necessarily good, but I think here, when your veteran players are just that good in-game, having a player like this come in and just fit a pre-existing system can be very good for Griffin as well. So, but only if Qualifier can carry that home with his own skill.
Yeah, really, it's really cool to see, Griffin coming back after, taking that last tournament off. Now returning here with No Org to be alongside such, giants here in the amateur scene. Of course, we just saw 100 Thieves Next. This team was basically the 100 Thieves Next of 2021 in Con, and especially a lot of that revolved around Viper up in the top side, which is gonna make for some really interesting matchups against Lawrence.
Yeah, going back to 2021, No Org was the brother team, or some people said the daddy team to my team in Zeus Gaming. preparing against them, I spent more time preparing for Viper as an individual than I did the entire rest of the team, just because of the way they played and his unique champion pool, right? He's willing to pull out things like the Kalista, like the Vayne top lane to just punish a player that he thinks he's better than. But he's also just willing to play normal picks and just take your face and slam it into the concrete. So there's a lot of options that they have, and I think if you don't properly prepare for that, then you'll be mentally punished. And I think that's where Griffin and Five Fire will have to connect and then really enable that top side. And then Big T, some people will say that he's inting or makes questionable decisions, but his roaming from bot to top will also just, help punish that top laner. So I really hope that Taco Gaming came in with a proper plan to deal with it. But we'll just have to see as the game plays out.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see if Norg kind of continues the similar playstyle that they had over a year ago, or if they try to spice things up against Taco Gaming, who are again right on the border of trying to make it into Proving Grounds after the end of this tournament. So we got to get into predictions before we start things off into the draft. Incon, I'm going to start with you. Who are you taking?
Yeah, so I'm going to be taking Noorg 2-1 here. Again, I think predicting anything 2-0 is a little bit troll. But I think it's also because Taco Gaming does have unique drafts. They added Novabot as their coach recently to the team, and he has a lot of experience with City Witty and Rovex, and I think, they'll get a surprise draft, but I think the experience of Noorg will just overtake them and be too much in a best-of-3 series.
All right, Veteran, who you got?
I have no org 2-0. I don't think it's illusionary at all to call a 2-0 when you see a clean 2-0 here. I don't really think it's a matter of picks or preferences. I think that it's way too much experience on the side of no org, particularly in the kind of carries that these guys aren't going to even be practiced against in solo queue. I think this isn't a system that can be taken down in something like draft.
Yeah, it definitely makes a lot of sense. I also have a 2-1 this time for Noorg as well, so it looks like we're Noorg all the way across the board. I'm just really excited to see these two teams play. I think that it's going to be a really cool matchup. Noorg, a team coming all the way back against Taco Gaming, a team that's been around here for this entire year, has had some really great performances, also taken games off of academy teams in Proving Grounds. So really excited to see that one kind of unfold. But gentlemen, we got to get into game. I'm going to bring Rude in here just so we could get started, get ready for the draft to begin here. Rude, I mean, as two people who I believe got most of our starts in 2021 as broadcast talent, this is just so cool to see Noorg back into the swing of things.
Yeah, it was about the time that we were starting to get into things. It was like Noorg was this top tier of amateur play, and now we get to sit here and reintroduce them to the amateur space, I suppose, yeah. Right? As a reminder for everybody, Spring 2021 champions of Proving Grounds. If you recall back to Spring 2022 Proving Grounds, amateur had a fairly rough time of things. Taco Gaming did take a series over there, it is worth mentioning, but ultimately a fairly rough showing for amateur as a whole. So Noorg coming back in, hoping to be the savior of amateur potentially once again. And there's, a lot of, I suppose, fond memories, and I think that this first game versus Taco Gaming is going to be, is everybody looking back at Noorg through rose-tinted glasses, or are we, appropriately weighing them up? They came into the open qualifier seeded as our second best team by the panel, so everybody was very highly praising everybody on this Noorg roster. Obviously they've got Griffin in instead of Ander, but that still, I think, doesn't particularly change all that much. The veterancy that comes from having Wixie coming down from literally playing in the Proving Grounds finals in spring, with Five Fire, all the tenure that he had in amateur and all the success that he had built up, I think that this really does just have the waiting to be a very powerful team. We'll have to see if they can, live up to that hype now with their full roster up against Taco.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see, to think about, is this, Noorg roster that hasn't played a lot in the past couple of years. Of course, Five Fire taking a bit of a break. Viper, who was recently just at TSM Academy, took this last tournament off as well. Will they be as dominant as they were in the first tournament? Of course, you can't really say much based off of the open qualifier because literally 3 of their 5 players are different heading into this game. But it's still a lot of questions to be answered. Really excited to see how things undergo as we head into the draft for game number 1.
Yeah, and obviously it is worth, of course, mentioning Taco Gaming themselves. Like I say, one of the teams that did manage to take a series in Proving Grounds Spring, had a fairly decent run out in into this second, or into the first qualifier of summer as well. We'll be looking to return with some better placing all the same. We have now got that ban table on the way, and of course Red Side Prison Seraphine I expect to see taken away from pretty much every single pick, and as we'd sort of theorized more so than anything else, taking Senna away from Rovex, not necessarily away from Rovex, but taking away his funky pairings. is exactly what you want to be doing. No surprises to see that hit the ban table either.
And I know we talked a lot about the solo laners on the analyst desk, but specifically these junglers are going to be really fun to watch here, Rude. I think that Griffin and Citywitty, I don't know if they play a very similar style where they like to take really big control over the games that they're in, and with the more facilitating mid laners that they have, whether it's Shoshi on Taco Gaming or Qualifier, who we saw play really good second fiddle to Viper and Enda last time around, I'm really excited to see how these two end up matching up against each other, because this was also, I believe, the... Okay, wait, never mind. I don't think... I was going to say this. I think that they played each other in like the finals last split, but I'm not entirely sure if that's correct. You'll have to correct... You'll have to...
No, I can't recall, unfortunately, Grapes. The memory does be failing me at this point, but you draw great points about the junglers. Obviously, Griffin as well, a very young jungler as well, like Incon mentioned, bringing down the average age of the team. Was not memeing. They are, of course, an incredibly young player themselves, but incredibly vocal, and that's something that is rare to find in young players. Excited to see what Griffin can do, slotting into this very tenured team with all the presence that he brings in the voice comms as well. The Kalista first pick for Noorg, worth mentioning, drawing back to what Incon said on the desk, this is a flex pick. Viper will take this into the top lane if he feels like he has a good matchup. And Bel'Veth, a champion that slipped entirely through our first set of games, gets locked in. So Griffin locking in that Bel'Veth, likely going to be going into the jungle here and already setting us up with some very heavy AD damage for Noorg.
You were asking if Noorg is going to be the same as they were in 2021. Well, looks apparently not. They're going to pick a champion that didn't even exist in 2021 with Griffin on the Bel'Veth, a very hard carry champion that can scale so well if given the opportunity to farm up, get a couple of kills, and really turn up online. And will be a Yone response on the other side for Taco Gaming. They already have a lot of AP damage with Citywitty likely to be on the Karthus. So very, very interesting first three picks. Interestingly enough, that Kalista that we were kind of talking about before, that can be that flex pick between Viper and Wixie, was selected on the B1. So, oh, wait, never mind. There's a Gnar in the game. Forget what I said, but still, either way, a lot of really exciting stuff that we see.
High amount of priority placed on the Kalista by Noorg. Wixie obviously going to be piling that one down in the bot lane, and we may well just see good pairings taken away. The Nautilus going to be our first one. Renata potentially going to be the second of choice. Amumu could also be one if they are particularly fearful for those hard engages from Big T specifically. And it's worth also mentioning that Taco Gaming here have this flex pick on red side. This Yone you may typically think could be a mid laner, but we have seen as well from the LCS, Dokler has played this up in the top lane for CLG. So the Yone also could be flexed up into that top lane matchup. Given that they see the Gnar, they may want to take the fellow Wind Brother up into the top side and challenge the Gnar in that 1v1.
Yeah, Lauren's definitely a player capable of picking that one up. We got a lot of Academy experience here. Lawrence and Gorka specifically on the side of Taco Gaming versus, Viper, Qualifier, Wixie, even Big, who played some time in LCS as well. I mean, just a whole lot of experience
Optic
here.
Big,
very exciting to see these two clash. But see a hover here of the Akshan. It will be locked in. This is a Lawrence specialty. Played it a ton on DK Crew last time around. Here we go. This is a matchup you want to see into the Gnar.
Yeah, this is, range versus range, essentially up in that top side, and a lot of AD coming through from Taco Gaming, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. Whenever you have Karthus compositions, you love to see a lot of AD built up, particularly as the Karthus has Citywitty this time round, because it just gives you free reign to build flat penetration, and if the enemy team starts building, magic resistance items, that's now 3 champions that's not going to have the most impact up against. Lock in for Noorg is a follow-up on engagement. They had the Gnar and the Kalista to sort of tease that they were going for it. They doubled down in the second phase. Rakan and Lissandra, they are going to go forward. They want to punish these ADCs for being locked in. They want to try and take down the Karthus before he can dish out too much damage. And this Akshan as well, need to be very careful. See what Taco Gaming go for on their R5. Could be another ADC. Could just be a disengaged style pick.
Whoa!
I love this from Rovex. The Janna, like I say, they're doubling down on engage here, Noorg. Pick the queen of disengage. Pick Janna to stifle everything they go for.
Okay, I was thinking we might see a Janna today in this, sort of set of games, but it was not going to be on Rovex. It was going to be on Lin, the support over on Large, but we going to see Rovex on a champion that we don't really see too often in the meta.
We saw it.
But
in the Cincinnati Fear vs 100 Thieves next games as well. The first game of the series, I believe, we did see Plux pick this champion. He took this into 100 Thieves next. Didn't have the greatest showing on it, unfortunately, but still, it is a pick that we see in these rare circumstances, and I think that this game in particular really warrants the Janna, and I'm going to be looking out at Robex specifically to see how well he can pilot a typically very, very proficient Enchanter player. So let's see how well this Janna translates down into that bot lane.
Yeah, with Rovex alongside Gork's Ashe, even Citywitty's Karthus, this team is really well fit at, you know, countering sort of the heavy engage that Norg is able to provide. They're able to play well into the champions that they have drafted against them. And for the side of Norg, it's a very different composition that we might have saw back in spring 2021. You know, Griffin on this Belveth versus, you know, the likes of Anda, who like to play a lot more facilitating champions, things, you know, like that Udyr. It's a very different look for them. They're going to put a lot more eggs into the jungle basket than they did last time around.
And what a way to return for Noorg, right? And for Griffin in particular as well. Obviously, Noorg, having played those OQ games, Griffin didn't get to play in any of those, was brought in to replace Anda from the group stage specifically. His first game back inside his, his home turf, essentially, inside Amateur. Going to be on Belveth, the most recent champion to be released into League of Legends. A bit of a statement to be made by Griffin. We'll have to see how well his carry shoes are fitting, if he's going to slot right back in where he did when he won Proving Grounds Circuit Qualifier number 2 in spring on No Team. If he can return now to those winning ways and try and pick up another win, this time on the Belveth.
Yeah, it's very funny because you have Viper, Firefire, and Big who have won Proving Grounds before. You have Wixie, who, you know, last performance was second place in Proving Grounds. And then you have Griffin, whose last performance was winning the Proving Grounds Circuit Qualifier last split. So these guys know how to win. And I think that is the expectation that comes through when you look at the players that they have across the board. But unfortunately, before we get into the game, we are receiving word that there are some slight disconnect issues with some of the players. So we're going to take a quick break before we head onto the Rift, for game number 1. Don't go anywhere because you're not going to want to miss this. Too long of a break. Welcome back, everybody, onto the Rift. Game number 1 of our second best of 3 of the day on the Academy channel. Noor taking on Taco Gaming for a chance to play against 100 Thieves next for that spot in the quarterfinals. Really excited to see these two teams faced off. We've been saying it time and time again, but I mean, just take a look at. Okay, wait.
Quickly,
Lawrence has
take a look at.
DK.
Shout out the DK crew.
Respect.
Respect. Yeah, that's all there is. We don't need to touch on it too much more. He's actually doing a really good job at just making sure this is how you should approach top lane Tribrush as well at level 1. Same exists for bot side as well. If you're in that bot lane, nice to see that Lawrence just steps out a little bit, will spot anybody attempting to walk in for that invade, and ultimately, Noorg, they get the level 1 ward down inside that top lane brush, make sure that Lawrence isn't going to be putting too much pressure down, but the return invade has come through for Citywitty, Rovex, and Gorica, and the question now becomes, are they going to just take this red buff for free?
Yeah, this is something that Taco Gaming did a lot of back in the last tournament with Citywitty, just going for really aggressive invades and having them somehow pay off. I mean, you and I were on that series that they had against Supernova, where it just seemed like Citywitty had complete control over the entire game. And we're going to see this start off already with this red buff takeaway. Not entirely sure if Griffin and the rest of Noorg are aware of the situation, but at the very least, it's a vertical jungle situation with this Ashe Janna here against the Kalista for the side of Taco Gaming.
Oh, and they actually hid their leash as well, so they walked into the lane as though they'd leashed from their side. So this is kind of a blind start, really, for Citywitty. He does not get spotted, the information not really given over, and now we get to see what Griffin's going to do with that. You know, he hasn't got the information that his bot side camps have been taken away. Going to be taking away the remainder of his top side, of course, going for what looks to be a fairly full clear. But then he goes down into his bot side, going to find that 2 of his camps are missing, and you'll give it 30 seconds or so, but once Griffin realizes that, what he does with those next few minutes is a bit similar to what we saw from game number 1. He's got nothing really to do except gank.
Yeah, and you saw, you know, Griffin pathing towards the bot side, didn't expect that to happen. See the ping already there, the question mark. Not entirely sure what to do at this point, but actually still has the opportunity to go up and maybe take away that red buff to make sure that City doesn't get this complete takeover of the jungle. But there are pings all over the place, so we're not entirely sure just yet.
Griffin has been spotted, so they know that he's trying to take these away, but ultimately, with mid lane being pushed in, there's not a lot that Taco Gaming can do about this. The routes are going to be forfeit, but much else we have to wait and see. That red buff not going to be secured, so it's not going to be a complete wash for Griffin through the early stages. Does get one camp back, but he's going to have to do some fairly wayward clearing to make sure that he hits those waves at the pretty much best time possible. Hit those spikes, excuse me.
Yeah, so overall, 2 camps stolen for 1 camp stolen here in favor of Taco Gaming.
Oh.
Yeah, we're still learning how this new champion functions, all the range indicators and everything like that. It's alright. Griffin's going to just use the smite, get that crab.
Get one.
Yeah, actually, farming that bottom side scuttle does a good job for him to, path back down to the Krugs, which is the only remaining camp that he has available. So good on Griffin to, make sure that his pathing is continuing to be in a pretty decent spot despite the advantage that has been given over to City at the beginning of the game.
Yeah, and of course, Karthus as a jungler, very power clear oriented. What we saw from City was actually him delay taking his Krugs in order to go take that Scuttle Crab in response. This means that when he starts cycling through his second set of camps, the bot to top, which is very likely to come through off the Gromp up to the Krugs, it's going to be slightly delayed. He's going to have a little bit of 3 time in between those, and we'll have to see what he does with that upon his second clear. Waiting for the second clear to start to come back up. Looks for a bit of a gank in the mid lane. May well just be to push off. Fire.
Yeah, push off and maybe even some more here. No flash utilized there by the Lissandra, but City taking down the Lissandra very, very low. And meanwhile, on top side, Viper is going to get 1v1. Lawrence picks up first blood. It will be a trade, but you're going to take that every day of the week if you're the Taco Gaming top laner.
Yeah, no Org, obviously. Viper going to have TP to get back to that lane, but it is going to be pushing away from him as that next wave bounces underneath the turret as well, forced the way to push back out in favor.
Oh, Qualifier took the claw forward. Look to try to go for an outplay, but Shochi takes him down. The solo laners of Noorg both falling in a solo fashion to start this game off.
Veteran said that this was going to be a trial by fire for all mid laners in the bracket, and Shochi picks up that trial and says he will pass it with flying colours, immediately taking that solo kill in the mid lane, gets up to level 5, Ding's level 6 now as well. Very well poised to start playing this Yone out through the remainder of the match. He's going to get interrupted here, looks like he is, but I'm going to go for the all-in. What's level 6? I was a little bit scared about that. The 5-5 just been a little bit BM here.
Yeah, trying to just give time for City to take this dragon as well. Now Shochi will hop over with the tether and we'll just get rooted up. So Qualifier getting the wave in a pretty decent spot will force likely that back and teleport out of Shochi. But really good start for Taco Gaming. Shochi's another player that we didn't see throughout the first tournament, looking really good. But I'm going to take a look up top side again. This is what Noorg are known for, their top dives. And it doesn't matter seemingly what jungler they have. Seems like Griffin's still trying to go for a play here.
Yes, of course, got that heroic swing, so getting out shouldn't be too difficult.
So swings right into Griffin actually. Will get knocked up, but looks like the tower is going to do a decent enough job of trying to defend him. So Taco Gaming off to a very good start. Lawrence survives the early gank. Griffin hasn't been able to get off onto the right foot just yet. And, all the gold in the right spots for now.
Yeah, Shochi now level 6. Was looking for the all-in prior to fighting over, but with that Glacial Tomb being available, never going to be too easy. And of course, Shochi, as you were sort of touching on just there, didn't play in the last event. Of course, Ayukura came in, did a very admirable job on the Taco Gaming roster, but now Shochi stepping back in and looking to see how well he has progressed, how well he's developed. Do see 5-5 moving up to that top side. Lawrence, again, flash available.
Yeah, ultimates are available for the side of Qualifier. That's just going to be the easy lockdown. Lawrence will go down. Here comes the Requiem, though, and that is the trade back. City making sure it's a 1-for-1.
Wow, yeah, Requiem and level 6 already for City. You can see Griffin level 5. That is not an ultimate, a cooldown that is matched by the no-org jungler just yet. Stepping back to, once again, the power farming nature of this Karthus. Well executed by Qualifier, but good enough job by Lawrence as well. Puts down just enough damage. The press the attack proc in combination with the low HP total that Qualifier had was enough to tick over the damage, and may have only been a lost chapter in the inventory. Early game Karthus ultimates don't tend to be too impactful, but that one will do a very good job.
Yeah, a lot of focus towards the top side of the map, which is what we were expecting, obviously, between these two teams. But Down in the bot lane, it is Wixie and Big getting a pretty sizable CS lead. Of course, Gorica on the Ashe going to be okay with playing with the low economy, but not off to the best start just yet here in this game. I wonder what we'll see as this game continues to progress, because City obviously making his attempts in the mid lane, but that's basically been all the ganks that he's had so far.
Of course, as the Karthus, you're not particularly looking at, oh, how many ganks has he gotten off in the first 10-20 minutes or so. It is more of that, how far ahead of the enemy jungler can he get through having more farm, and ultimately they get Bel'Veth as well, a champion that is going to clear fairly fast, fairly quickly, move through out of their jungle with fairly fluid motion. As the CS numbers largely evened up. Of course, that Requiem, the best counter gank that does exist in the game, did even up the tallies and even give City an extra bonus little injection of gold. Want to see what this Karthus does, later and later in the game. The more items that he gets, the more powerful that ulti going to end up hitting. Now with 3 members from either side in this top river, Big and Rovex both looking to make their roams impactful. Rovex going to show his face in the mid lane to just force Qualifier off, give Shochi first move in the mid lane, and should be priority over to DK.
Yep, quickness already popped here by the side of No Org, but there comes Shochi in with the Fade Seal. Big in a whole lot of trouble, gonna get taken down by Gorica. It's a 1-for-1 though, as Lawrence does end up falling. Griffin still alive, not able to get that final reset.
Shochi's
and now
still
City in the death realm will try to do as much damage as he possibly can. Viper now on a killing spree as Rovex falls, and Shochi has to run for the hills. No Org winning out on that fight. It's a 3-for-2. The Herald's still up.
4-for-2, or 3-for-2, yeah, excuse me. You quite right there. Shochi limping away at the end of the fight. Herald survives, even footing now for both of these teams. Neither side gets the Herald. We are dead even in gold once again. A little bit of a replay, hopefully, of that top side fight. Oh, okay.
Was it the arrow that
from
killed him?
downtown?
Wow.
Picks off Big T. Nicely done. I was going to credit Rovex for great Janna play in this fight. Ultimately, it just wasn't quite enough. And I thought, okay, Viper fighting on the Karthus passive, real chance that this goes well for Taco Gaming. Unfortunately, not quite the case. Qualifier doing just enough. The reset potential of Alessandra as well, certainly very scary. You get 1 kill, helps you segue over and pick up another few as well with those White Walker-esque passives really coming to life.
Well, seemingly right back to the scene of the crime is Taco Gaming. City this time does have the Requiem. We'll see if they end up trying to go for another engage. Arrow goes wide. Herald secured here by Taco, but City is very dangerously low. Will get taken down by Griffin, who now has the resets available. Requiem will come out. Big tunked very low and will fall to the hands of Shochi. Now Rovex stuck in a 1v3. Definitely not the best spot for a Janna. A double kill in for Griffin, as now the Bel'Veth might start to get unlocked. Dunn has another dash. Lawrence trying to get an assassination in, but he will get rooted out of that heroic swing, and that is another kill going into Griffin, looking for even more blood as Shochi will have to take the tether right back.
Wow, okay. That is the turret the Herald going to Taco Gaming, the fight going to No Org. Finally, we see some disparity between the ends of these fights, and distinct battle lines being drawn. Big T flash instantly on to the Karthus, and once again another downtown arrow from Wixie. Hits pretty much the exact same spot. He's got the lineups for that one for sure. And Rovex sort of left to the slaughter here, unfortunately.
He did get the eye, so that was why he was in that position.
Yeah. Worthwhile, of course. You spend all that time taking the Herald, you lose all those members. You want to have the Herald to show for it. Rovex now has this weird role of acting as this jungler to see, okay, where are we going to place this? Where are we prioritizing?
Yeah.
Looks like it's just mid lane. Get it out of my system. I need my sweeper back, thank you.
I was going to say, we're probably just trying to get it away as soon as possible. Get a couple of extra gold into the hands of Shochi. Always a good little thing here, but Griffin 4-1-2 on the Bel'Veth and looking to continue to engage. Shochi going to use that Fate Seal defensively, but the knockup will still land in onto the Janna. Griffin not able to get anything just yet. Knockup landing under the turret. The Qualifier and the rest of No Org are going to be able to push this mid lane wave right back into Taco Gaming.
Okay, and this support matchup as well, something that I've been incredibly intrigued by, just sort of theorying throughout. The way it's going to be working is if Big has flash, he has outplay potential onto the Janna. But basically, if he engages onto anybody outside of this Janna, it's going to be on Rovex heavily to react to the Grand Entrance plus Quickness combo. You anticipate that, City Widdy?
In a whole lot of trouble. Will get taken down by Griffin. That he did so much work in preventing him from going down. Gets the reset. Here comes the comeuppance. It will be the kill secured. Lawrence picking up a nice 700 gold shutdown as Viper has to run away with that hop. The reset's not enough to get that kill down just yet. Lawrence not going to be able to get the trade again.
Swing just a little too actually long and not able to get out to say, or not able to get the kill. 2v2 now.
Orica doing a whole lot of damage in onto Big, who's going to go aggressively
the
in,
tornado!
but Rovex with a massive tornado to knock both the no-org bot laners up. The Requiem in for good measure. Somehow that's an ace picked up for Taco Gaming. Viper died top lane as well.
Oh, lovely stuff. Good Janna play is just so beautiful to watch. Double knock up into double knockback. Gorgeous play down in the bot lane. The from downtown Requiem as well. CD Widdy able to make his impact felt whilst farming his wolves or something. Able to get an ace for Taco Gaming, and given that the run of play was pretty much all no-org favoured, that slight turn back is going to be very, very detrimental to the newcomers.
Griffin trying to go for a 1v2 here on Gorka and Rovex. Neither have too much mana, and Griffin is a very strong champion at that, but he's just
Great
getting
side
kited.
steps.
This is a disengaged potential here for Taco. Citywitty gonna get that last assist. A
Oh,
little bit of
no.
BM coming through, but Gorka is gonna secure with the final arrow. Taco Gaming coming up on top in every single way.
Gorka's movement there was absolutely crisp. He dodges out on the knock-up, dodges out as well, and a little bit of extra damage coming through from Griffin. And obviously, you've got your Janna there giving you a little bit extra support. That 1v2 always looked a little bit ambitious, but with Blade of the Ruin King, I can understand why he went for it. Does get caught out, though, and Gorica Rovex, this Ashe Janna 2v2 bot lane, not something that we've seen particularly a lot of, but Ashe is an answer to Kalista, very, very well founded. The Janna into the Rakan as well, certainly having its fair share of power. Have to see how well they can continue to develop this one if it goes to 5v5.
Shochi going really aggressive into the Qualifier, just gets enough time to proc that claw, and now with the Glacial Prison underneath the tower, Shochi's going to take another tower shot. Is that enough? No. Nearly taken down with just about 100 HP left in the tank. Rovex certainly playing a factor in keeping his mid laner alive. Overall, really, really impressive stuff. It's a 3,000 gold lead for Taco Gaming at 14 minutes.
Actual shield difference right there. If Rovex doesn't put the Storm Shield onto Shochi, he probably dies to that turret, even though it didn't seem like it at the time. Certainly got its fair share of value. Moonstone now doing pretty good work as well. Just a couple autos, a couple Zephyrs, making the difference to Shochi's health bar. Blade of the Ruin King as well locked in means that he's got enough lifesteal. Doesn't necessarily need the Janna to be there, but it helps all the same.
Now, do we
Well,
get the
quickly,
same? Do we get the
oh, go
same
on.
build out of Shochi as we did with Skoon last time around? Is the Sunfire next? That's the question.
I mean, maybe. I don't know that it's as good this time round. You don't have Senna and Soraka, but Janna does a largely similar role.
We'll see. I'm actually curious as well, because Lawrence solo killed Viper again in the top lane. I don't know exactly how that happened.
That was when the ace happened.
Yeah, that was when the ace happened. I don't know if we can get a replay on that, but I mean, really cool that Lawrence, has the counter matchup, of course, but doing really well against a player who was very recently just in TSM Academy.
Yeah, and certainly, obviously, Lawrence coming from what was DK crew, who made a lot of waves to get into the group stage last time out, and had a fairly decent showing given they were, placed where they were to begin with, a real run of fire that they managed to make it through at all. And now, of course, coming into a Taco Gaming team, much higher expectations on this squad in particular. And he's going to have to try and live up to those a little bit more formally, of course, on a LCS affiliate squad, the C9 Academy, or Amateur.
Is he going to get locked up here by the Glacial Tomb? Here comes the quickness again. Arrow playing a massive role from Gorica as Big will die first in the fight. Griffin chunked really low. The comeuppance nearly enough to take him down as he has enough health to stay alive. It is just a 1-for-0 for now in favor of Taco Gaming.
Nado.
The backs are going to come forward here for Griffin.
Nado,
No, the
I knew
tornado! Rovex gets the kill, and that is now certainly the third dragon of the game here for Taco.
Oh, greedy by Griffin there. You see the Janna winding up that tornado, maybe getting a little bit caught off guard. Janna did get one of those buffs a fair few patches ago, but not one that you'll necessarily be too familiar with, given how unfamiliar we are with Janna in pro play. But the speed at which they travel certainly very increased. Their max range as well went up a little bit of damage too. So getting that and taking down Griffin. I want to know quite where the abilities have been maxed by Rovex, just in case this is like a max damage Janna tornado launched at you. But that's a Rift Herald going down, a Dragon going down as well. They're on Soul Point as Viper now the target for Shochi.
Just missing out on the knockup here. Shochi does not have the Fate Sealed. Rovex barely missing out on another Tornado landing. But now Viper is Mega, but it's a 1v3 that he has to try to escape from. And it doesn't look very likely for himself. Rovex securing another kill on the Janna, his second in a row.
Okay, and it is, of course, going to be that Sunfire build on Shochi that we get to see in the last series. Now I'm going to see it once again here in this one. And it's looking really scary, Grapes. I mean, Yone has always been a champion that I've personally just had a hatred for. And if this build starts to take off as well, it's only going to compound that.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. I think we saw this I remember seeing a tweet of this build like showing up somewhere, some place in some major region. I don't exactly remember, but it seems like that's kind of what pros are running with at this point. It does provide a lot of sustainability, and you don't really need a lot of more physical damage, and you basically have 2 other marksmen on your side with Lawrence and Gorica. So just keeping yourself alive, being that pesky frontline menace that you that can just also one-shot everybody as well, as we've seen Shochi do so far in this game.
On what we're looking at here from both Lawrence and Gorica is just a lot of damage, right? This is Kraken Slayer on both sides. Potentially Blade of the Ruin King, potentially something different coming through for both of them as well. So trying to kite out against this engaged composition is going to become a lot easier when those start to get picked up. Lawrence already completed it, and of course as Akshan, it's incredibly easy to proc that Blade of the Ruin King, given that you essentially get 2 autos for 1 if you plant yourself for those auto attacks, and you just need 1 more to proc the passive. Now Firefire overextended that lane.
Yeah, seemingly another instance of no-org solo laners being caught out a little bit. It's going to be a bit of a longer journey for Qualifier to end up going down, but definitely not looking like a super likely scenario of his escape. Shochi and City Witty just going to chase him down, not in the execute position just yet. There comes the dash forward. That's another kill into the hands of City Witty. The trade on the other side is that tower up in the top lane, but we're already getting objective bounties secured, I think, by the likes of no-org. So showing the power that Taco Gaming have over this game right now.
Everybody on Taco Gaming has a bounty. Ever since those 9 kills that no-org secured, it's been a long road back to trying to get anything really in their favour. Yes, that top tier 1 turret fell, but since then it's not been too easy for Taco to really give anything over. You can see that they're taking pretty much everything. We did just get a little glimpse as well for my own peace of mind. Rovex just maxing Storm Shield, maxing that durability, the safety for the team, making sure that those bounties are not being given over. And making sure that the rest of his team can be staying alive, sustaining themselves through these team fights as best as possible.
That is now the complete outer ring of towers taken down for the likes of Taco Gaming. Find themselves with about a 6,000 gold lead or so, but now no-org going to try to make a trade on the other side of the map. Nice flash away from Gorica. I think that's enough to keep him alive.
Yeah, and you can see, right, Firefire there, pressuring, has flash, would have used it to use the Glacial Tomb. It's not going to be needed, given the fact that Gorica uses his flash to get out to safety. That was also Shurelya's burned by Big T, so a couple cooldowns are expended, but obviously a way bigger expenditure by the Taco Gaming bot laner, who now has to play with that element of caution and potentially play a little bit tighter with Rovex as well. I have to see if they can look to punish that, and I want to draw your attention back to the early stages of the game, Grapes, because if we recall, no-org were having their best successes when they were grouping up and finding those team fights, largely around the Rift Herald, and they started to peter off into really difficult positions when they started taking shorter form skirmishes. Now there's a Drake Soul spawning in about 45 seconds. Taco Gaming want to secure themselves the Infernal Soul. I think this is the great opportunity for Viper, for no-org, to go into that bot side, to try and pick themselves up a fight, a 5v5. They just hit some nice item spikes as well. The Frozen Fist being picked up for Griffin. Viper has completed Randuin's up against these triple physical damage dealers. And the Runans and the Rage, not the Runans, the Rage Blade plus Immortal Shield bow picked up for Wixie. The 2 item spike of a Callista fully engaged. This is now where no-org need to be looking to try and take that fight.
Attacks have been synced. Dragon spawning in about 15 seconds. No-org is poised for that 5v5 fight. Lawrence is singing this for now, but it looks like Firefire are going to find the first pick potentially, but he might be the one caught out himself, using that claw to try to get away, and that's the Requiem being popped. Firefire will have to use that stopwatch preemptively. Important to note, does not use the ulti just yet. Will have the opportunity to teleport back in, but now a 5v4 opening up for Taco Gaming, and that's just the soul picked up, and Shochi's looking for more than that. They want the fight as well. The comeuppance is going to come through. Viper's going to get locked down. Big's gonna fall, so is Griffin, and Firefire just arrives too late. Shochi will go down, but that's gonna be all that falls for Taco Gaming as they go 5 for 1 plus the Infernal Soul.
Absolutely lovely team fighting by Taco Gaming. They spot the Lissandra out. managed her to burn a load of her cooldowns prior to the fight even starting, and then after that they just turn back to the Drake, secure themselves soul, take themselves a 5v5, an area where we were expecting Noorg to potentially have a little bit more power, but it is so uncoordinated, so not well played together as a team, using that big engage tool that we're expecting to their prowess, and ultimately Taco Gaming just have an absolute field day. Managed to secure that Drake, secure the Baron, secure a bot lane tier 2 as well. They are very well poised for the remainder of this game. This is the start of, this is where they pick Qualifier. Lawrence goes into that stealth. Qualifier thinks he's caught out the jungler prior to the fight starting, but Qualifier gets taken down, you know, hundreds of HP to spare. Stopwatch is what's used, but the timing on this is all too much. Griffin caught out, really zoned off of that mid lane as well, means this Drake is already gone by the time he can get into this fight. And yes, you see Big T goes in, gets a nice couple charm members. The rest of his team just nowhere to be seen. Shochi in the backline doing way too much work. It's all too much too late for Noorg.
And Shochi goes down, but crucially the revive coming in from Lawrence brings him right back. So now it is still 5 members strong with that Baron buff for the side of Taco Gaming. As Noorg in a pretty dire situation. They're going to try to find a pick here onto the likes of Lawrence. It looks like they will be able to do so. Nice shutdown going on Qualifier, but now the rest of Taco Gaming has collapsed upon them. But Big Sim will look for the engage. Gorica trapped between the entire member of Noorg, and he will get shut down again by Qualifier, who will go down to Shochi. And now the disengage from Rovex is coming in too big. It's a double kill already for Shochi. It's a triple kill. It's a quadra kill for Shochi. Welcome back to Proving Ground. Shochi with a quadra kill in game number 1.
Makes his mark, says he is back and here to stay. You may well be the Proving Grounds 2021 champions, but I am returning to take the crown for myself. A lovely sequence of plays upon that top side. You think it's going to go really poorly. Lawrence has been a beautiful part of this team fight so far for Taco Gaming, but Shochi proves to be that bigger X factor. As you can see, them corralled into this small choke point, but Rovex does such a good job at buying time, stops pretty much everything that Big T is looking to do. And yet, that's a worthy little gasp right there. The Requiem does so much work to set up this fight. Shochi with a lovely double knock-up, and you see in the picture there, the mid-inhibitor has been taken off the back of all of this too.
What a statement game for Taco Gaming. Of course.
Hello.
It's okay.
Cheeky.
He just doesn't get to farm those minions. That's the economic advantage.
He's racking up the percentages. You know, arrows fired to arrows hit.
He's shooting pretty well right now. Yeah. But yeah, really good showing from Taco Gaming. I think a lot of people expected this Noorg team to just be really dominant off the gate, but of course had a couple of roster changes, not looking like their true selves just yet. And wow, just another example of the power that this Janna can possess, preventing that engage all the way through. The comeuppance comes down big. Gonna get chunked a little bit low, but now Gorica's going aggressive, flashing forward with a volley. Has the Infernal Soul as well, and here comes Qualifier, gonna pop the Glacial Tomb to keep himself alive from the Requiem, but it's not gonna keep him alive from the rest of the Ice Arrows. Gorica with another kill. Now Lawrence, yeah, maybe looking for some more kills onto the bot lane. Wixie pops the shield bow around the tower he goes, and he picks up a double kill for himself. Viper trapped underneath this top lane inhibitor turret, and him and Griffin are going to have to try to fight this one out, but no resets are to be had onto the Bel'Veth. The Citywitty now gets another kill on the board, and Lawrence swings right through, will not be able to live, but that's another part into the arrows for Gorica. And Noorg, with their first game of the Proving Ground Circuit Qualifiers of 2022, not looking like 2021 anymore. Taco Gaming up 1-0 to start the series off.
Beautiful game for Taco Gaming. There was about a 10-minute period where Noorg had the run of things, but all of a sudden one set of fights goes poorly and ace goes the way of Taco Gaming, and they never look back. Skirmishing after that was so easy for Taco. They got the early lead onto the Karthus, who had every single Requiem just doing so much work, whether it be damage to the team, forcing out crucial fire cooldowns, or whether it was just single-handedly winning team fights. Really good stuff for Citywitty in the jungle. Obviously, like we mentioned, that full AD team with a Karthus inserted into the jungle role really bodes well for you as a Karthus to just dish out insane amounts of damage.
And I mean, if you are just kind of joining the amateur space as of this year, you might think this makes a lot of sense. Taco Gaming is a really good amateur team, and they're taking down another roster of players that we haven't seen before. But I mean, let's take a look at the caster predictions really quick if we can, just to show what a lot of expectations were around this series. Only 2 predicting Taco Gaming, and one of them was Twitter. So Travesty so far looking pretty good, but this is the expectations that a lot of us had. NoOrg not necessarily looking like their complete selves just yet. Maybe have a little bit more. Maybe with a little bit more time, we'll be able to try to work things out. But really good showing from Taco Gaming right now. They're looking like they have a really good shot of trying to sweep NoOrg off the board.
Yeah, they're about to have a Cincinnati Fear moment. Honestly, if they take this series, they get to post all the Twitter clout. What were the casters thinking? Yada yada. Certainly not got my predictions in the best position right now, but I'm very happy for Taco all the same.
Yeah, absolutely so. And we're gonna take a quick break before we head into game number 2 and see if NoOrg can turn it around. We'll be right back in a couple minutes with the desk.